Bow hunting is my passion. It's challenging, it takes discipline, it takes practice. I've immersed myself into it. I build my own arrows, do my own bow work. I am responsible for every aspect of my equipment. It's a craft that runs deep in my soul. I've been shooting bows since I was a little kid. In fact, I learned to shoot a bow before I even touched a firearm. In recent years, I've learned that the little things matter. They add up when it comes to your equipment, as well as yourself when the moment of truth arrives. I try to account for every small detail.
Money. So summertime is the time to get everything dialed. And that means reps upon reps upon reps. I will shoot a lot and often in the summertime because got to be proficient with what you're shooting, what you're working with. I'm still fine-tuning a couple little things here and there. I'm a tweaker, tinker, better word. Future Ian, tinker, not tweaker. I always mess around with setups, and I've done that. Past like 3 seasons, I've run different arrows, different releases, that kind of thing. So this year, 2021 season, I'm going to be hunting with a hinge release, the Hinge by UltraView. Interesting. A little loud when it's not on the bow, but when it's on the bow and I'm shooting, there is no target panic. That's gone. I'm very focused. Gonna be tricky to kind of master it, but that's why it's June 27th right now when I'm filming this right here. And I have all season, like another 3 months, July, August, September, 3 months to just shoot and get this down between both my bow setups. Yes, I have 2 bows. I have a VXR right here, 31.5. That is my hunting from the ground, longer range shot kind of opportunity kind of bow. Set up with the Kinetic Pierce by Gold Tip. It's a 4mm shaft, so should do well in long distance with the Magnus Stinger broadheads I was using last year. 125s. So total arrow weight out of that bow is 463. I weighed it last night. Did away with wraps. I'm done with wraps. No, I'm just gonna glue them straight to the shaft now. I don't know, kind of now looking at it going, why did I think that was easier? I mean, at least the shaft kind of cleaner, but it's pain in the butt. And my other bow, it's my tree stand bow, saddle bow, more maneuverable. I'm up in a tree. It's the TX5 Pit Viper. That one's still going to be set up with the Easton Axis arrows. I did away with the half outs, so I noticed that when it hit into a target, kind of weird, bent the half out, could potentially break the shaft and destroy one of the ferrules on my practice broadheads, because it happened once. So once that happens, you have to get more half outs, and those things are not cheap. I had to switch the sight out on that one, because this one I broke the sight on that, trying to get it to go left, because it's been a tuning nightmare for the past 3 months, which is good because it's been a good problem solver for me. Gave me a challenge to try and figure it out. I did. You need a 3-degree helical when you're shooting fixed blades. Like, hold on, you need that right there. No, not me, not my face. That, you need that. Basically what was happening is I didn't have enough of a helical on. So when I put a broadhead on, field points would hit here, broadheads over here. And no matter what I would do, it wouldn't make it better. Or if it did make it better, it made it all the way over to this side where my sight wouldn't go that far. So then I'm just hemming and hawing. I had to get a new sight, which is a Black Gold Verdict Ascent. It's a 3-pin slider sight that Black Gold makes. It is fantastic. Absolute tack driver out on the TX5. That bow's set, ready to go as soon as I get the arrows refletched up. That thing is going to be money. But broke sight, trying to get it moving more to the outside instead of just refletching and doing more science. So I figured out that, got that done. Broadheads are now hitting where field points are out of this bow. Flying great, hitting, dropping dimes. Now it's just tuning me up. Equipment's good. Now I gotta tune myself up, mind, body, playing. I'm just basically shooting reps, all reps, nothing but the reps all day, every day. That's how we I'm very not about that. Okay, I'm just gonna bye. $50. Broadhead. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That shot was money. Shot was money. 50 yards broadhead. I gotta like cockeye my wrist a little bit more with the hinge just to get the pull right. Otherwise I'm pulling off to the side. But dude, I'm okay with where this is at. Very okay with where this is at. Yeah. That'll do. That'll do.
In addition to making sure my arrows are combined with the best broadhead to provide the straightest flight, I also try to put myself into every possible situation I could face this fall. From long shots, shooting from different stances, angles, elevation. I also prep for having to hold at full draw and having to stop a deer. Preparation for anything and everything may not lead to perfect execution, but it gets you ready for how to handle all those moments should you find yourself in them. Something I've always wanted to try is putting in food plots. I've spent all my hunting career targeting deer in transition zones, figuring out their patterns, and striking when the conditions are right. I've always wanted to experience hunting over a food source where deer in large numbers feed in an area and I can physically observe them moving at a much slower pace. This is a small detail that I want to try to aid in not only attracting mature bucks, but also serve as an organic way to slow them down for a shot. I started with a couple small test plots before moving to larger plots behind my parents and at a place that I have wanted to hunt for a very long time.
Hi guys and gals. So, as you previously saw, I was hanging a stand, and this is, my family owns a bit of land, some cottages on Keuka Lake. No one really hunts the land up top of the hill. I know my dad has, so I figured I'd do that too. He hasn't hunted it in a number of years, so I'm just hiking up to the top, back to where I did the work yesterday. Got a food plot kind of started, but I'm gonna make it a little bigger, plant a little different seed blend, and then just kind of show you the setup of where I hung the stand, kind of my thought process. Be interesting to see how it develops. I did, when I was hanging the stand, I was checking the lanes, and Corey called me, and as I was talking to Corey, 3 deer ended up walking up the hill to my right. They didn't take the path that I thought they would, but I know I've had a trail camera down here last year. I know there's a path that they like to, that kind of cuts across the bench, that I know they like to kind of walk across, so it may work out eventually. But for right now, that was at least kind of cool, to hang a stand and then see deer. Shortly after you hang the stand, I'll take it as a sign. So I'm just gonna walk up and do a little more work. Alright, so I'm up to where it was yesterday. That is the start of the plot. That's what I did yesterday. It's not very big. It's not going to be very big. But I'm thinking about swooping that down a little lower. Maybe potentially going up a little bit higher on the back end of it. And I got some of that Whitetail Imperial secret spot stuff that should grow pretty quickly. We'll just kind of see. It's kind of a mixed bag. Right there I put some big time buck brunch no-till stuff in there, and it's way early for that. They recommend you should start planting that back in like starting in August, but I'm not going to be down here at that point, so laid that out there, put a little secret spot on the low end, on the back end. Now what's really cool, plots right here. There's the stand. Well within shooting range. But this is, I'll talk in a minute. I'm going to go do some work. But yeah, I'll go do some work and then we'll walk and talk, and I'll walk you through what's going on in my brain and why I'm doing what I'm doing. It is 60 something degrees out, but I'm so sweaty. But I just kind of extended the plot down just a little bit. So that's the new spot bit that I extended. You can kind of see where freshly unearthed dirt, nice and wet. Stuff I did yesterday. So it just brings it down slope just a bit. So that way it brings, if they are going to feed down in through the plot here, like down to this stuff, literally right side, maybe 20 yards, broadside. That's the idea. So now, get the seed out, plant the seed. Again, it's that secret spot stuff I was testing around at my parents' in a couple spots, and it's growing pretty good. And not super sunny here. It gets sun, but not a whole lot. It's a clover grass kind of mix. The big tine has turnips in it, which is something a little more hardier, but see how that grows. Secret spot stuff's gonna go down in this little back stuff just to have something a little different, biodiversity, if you will, within this little manufactured, man-made me plot type thing. So I'm gonna put the seed in. Once that's done, then I'll walk you around and give you a tour of exactly what I'm thinking, where my head's at with all this. Alright, so I'm actually now up in the stand because I got to move the lifeline actually down to the base of the stand so I can climb up it when I come back here during hunting season. But I just kind of wanted to show you the view and actually kind of run down the thought process as to why the stand's placed where it is and why I'm doing what I'm doing. So that's the food plot that I just put in. It's actually fairly big, but on the top end of this, the terrain flattens out and there's a path that runs on the top end of that. So the deer like to come across about right there on that flat spot, cut it right across, right at the base of that hill, all the way out on the other side, round around, and there's a glen, pinch point. And I know last year had them coming right down around here. And basically, I'm a little off the food plot. By little, I mean maybe 20 yards. But if they are going to move through in this whole transition zone, at least there's a little stop. Hopefully it comes in, a little stop for some food, a little attraction. So hopefully gets them to stop, a little attraction. And what's interesting is the stand's facing uphill. So that path that they walk across, right there, straight on. I don't even need to bend down. No angles, broadside, straight. Maybe 20, 25 yards. And what's nice is this is in older woods. There's not too much undergrowth. And the undergrowth that you do see, those are actual little tiny trees. A lot of maple trees, a lot of oak trees down closer to the parking lot, but there's oak trees, maple trees. This is a cool environment. And it's kind of silhouetted against a ridge top with a plateau on the top end of this. The only thing that's going to kind of suck is wind. Got to be mindful of wind when it comes to this. That's the one thing I'm nervous about. It's just the wind. But as I said yesterday, set the stand up, and within a few minutes of just kind of settling down and checking lanes and seeing how it looks, there were 3 deer. They came up from there, walked all the way up, kind of up on that hill, into that saddle, up on that plateau, and then out over the back. So I actually get to physically see deer and see how they move across this landscape. And I can see quite a ways. And it's not even October yet. This is going to be a cool place to come down and hunt and sit. So, but I'm pretty proud of my work. Hopefully it pans out. I have a camera on one of the corner of the food plot, kind of covering that path, kind of watching if they are going to come down that path. They come in or traveling along that path. They stop and start feeding on the top end of that because I try to put it as close to that path as I can. So that way there's some attraction to get them to kind of pull off and stop and feed and get a picture there. And I have another camera on the path kind of closer to that pinch point that's down along the base of the hill that I actually had a cell camera last year on that exact spot, and they just kind of walk back and forth. So yeah, that's the plan, Stan. But yeah, pretty cool view, not gonna lie. Everything's all set up, ready to go, ready for fall. So I'm just gonna kind of take a break for a bit, then I'll walk down. But still gonna work on trying to get an actual food plot in our clearing, by the clearing stand that we have behind my parents. I do want to try and put a food plot in there. Seems like the deer are really coming around this year, more so than last year at this time of year, which I like different things, but I also kind of wish they just do the same thing and just not be around, so that way we can do our work. And actually, now around this time of year, the does and fawns started to show up, but I've only had one doe with one fawn kind of show up. But
I want to put a food plot in there. I will be talking and going over all that. And I may put another food plot in, do some work with Corey at our buddy's place in Buffalo. Very much kind of similar to this environment. Big woods, not a whole lot of understory. Just had it logged this past year, so we may also try and get a ground blind instead of doing stands and stuff like that. So give it a shot. Do something different. So that's a little bit of history about this place here. This place has been in my family for a little over 100 years. 102 years. Last known date, we were looking at history books and stuff like that. 102 years this cottages and this land's been in my family. And about 100 years ago, all this that I'm standing on right now is actually a vineyard. So, winery, whole thing. So that's why it's kind of cool that there's some built-in benches and stuff. That's from when it was a vineyard. But I'm gonna move the one camera that I have on the plot. I'm gonna move that down actually just a bit to a little different tree, just to cover and watch more of the plot from afar rather than right up close. So I'm gonna do that and then get down off the hill. It would take 9 days for me to see the first deer inspect the plot and for me to see its growth. Over the coming weeks, I would see more and more deer, including one buck that made me raise an eyebrow. I felt a deep connection to a place that I loved going to as a child. This is where I learned to fish, and it fostered my love for the outdoors at a young age. My father had an encounter with a nice buck when he hunted here in his youth, but now I'm helping to create similar stories of my own. My next food plot project is the clearing at my parents' house, which has me excited, but I know this will be a tall task for something that may or may not add a small amount to my chances of success. But every little bit counts.